The Picatrix, the most dangerous grimoire ever written. What if the book you've been told to fear is the one that holds the key to your freedom? Forget everything you think you know about magic. This isn't about lighting candles and pulling tarot cards on TikTok. This is about raw, unapologetic power. Ancient formulas whispered through centuries, encoded in a book so controversial, so potent, that even seasoned occultists speak its name with caution. Picatrix, a grimoire unlike any other, blamed for everything from royal madness to alchemical miracles. Some say it's cursed, others say it's the last true manual of transformation. So which is it? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Picatrix doesn't hide behind symbols. It challenges your soul. It invites you to look where others won't, into the stars, into blood-soaked rituals, into your own shadow. And in return, it offers secrets capable of bending reality, mastering influence, and unlocking levels of consciousness you were never taught to access. But beware, this isn't a book that changes your life. It's a book that demands you change yourself. And the most dangerous part, it works. Magical astrology. There's a forgotten truth most people overlook. The sky has always whispered secrets to those willing to listen. Long before apps told us our horoscopes, ancient masters used planetary positions not for prediction, but for power. In the world of astro-magic, the planets are more than distant rocks. They are living symbols of powerful forces, pulsing with consciousness. Picatrix doesn't just ask you to observe them, it dares you to align with them. When Venus rises, she brings not just love, but a transformational current that can soften hearts or stir desire into obsession. Jupiter doesn't only promise growth, it commands manifestation through ritual. The sky becomes a mirror, and the ritual becomes your key to reality. A secret most modern minds miss is that these energies can be intentionally channeled. If you know when, how, and why. A student of this wisdom learns that timing is not coincidence, it's everything. Imagine preparing a spell for influence under a waning moon, only to see it fall flat. Now imagine aligning that same spell with a Mars-Mercury conjunction. Suddenly, your words cut through resistance like fire through paper. This isn't superstition, it's strategic use of ancient knowledge. The mental shift required is subtle, yet powerful. You begin to feel the cosmic clockwork guiding not just planets, but your own emotional tides. You realize that freedom isn't doing things whenever, but knowing when the stars are listening. This is a choice to move with the tide of celestial currents rather than fight them blindly. And in that choice lies the beginning of your awakening. Let's get practical. Want to bring more love into your life? Then forget vague affirmations and start working with Venus on a Friday, in the hour of Venus, under a waxing moon. Add rose, petals, copper, and vanilla. Feel the difference. Seeking to cut cords with toxic attachments, Mars in Scorpio has a cutting edge you can ride. These aren't just rituals, they are tools for transformation. Real results come when magic meets intention, precision, and will. And at the heart of all this is a growing self-awareness. You don't just perform a spell, you become the force behind it. That's where true autoconocimiento, self-knowledge, is forged, not in books alone, but in daring to engage with forces bigger than yourself. There's something deeply humbling and empowering about recognizing your place in a cosmic dance. You're not at the mercy of fate, but you're not above it either. You're in relationship with the archetypal powers that shape the human story. Saturn isn't your enemy. He's your teacher of boundaries. The moon, she's the mirror of your inner world. When you read Picatrix with heart and intuition, you're not reading spells. You're reading a map of power, yes, but more than that, a map of your inner kingdom. That's the paradox. The more you master the skies, the more you realize that the true Chave Mestra, master key, is within. External rituals only activate what's already sleeping inside. And let's not forget, this kind of practice requires mentalidad, mindset. Without patience, discernment, and self-honesty, you'll end up chasing shadows. Magic isn't just about effects, it's about conscious evolution. Picatrix invites you to think like a master, not a beggar asking the universe for favors. It calls for responsibility. When you wield influence through celestial alignments, you also take ownership for the ripples you create. It's a subtle art, but not a soft one. And that's where most falter. They seek results, but not wisdom. They want shortcuts, not alchemia, alchemical change. But those who persist, they start noticing synchronicities, dreams that guide, inner, voices that whisper next steps. Imagine this. Someone casts a spell for clarity under Mercury retrograde, and things go wrong. They panic, but the wise practitioner sees a lesson, a necessary delay, a misalignment of purpose. That's the real game, learning to interpret not just stars, but your reactions to them. It's a conversation, and like any conversation, it's messy, subtle, non-linear. That's where the real work happens, not in dramatic rituals, but in the daily decision to align with the cosmos instead of ego. And in doing so, you stretch your limits. You taste real freedom, not as detachment, but as attunement to a greater pattern, one you've always felt but never quite named. And as the rituals grow deeper, as the patterns repeat and reveal, a question begins to rise. What if these energies could be contained, even stored? What if there were a way to take the momentum of a planet and seal it into a physical object, something you could hold, use, and protect? Creation of planetary talismans. If the stars can guide you, then talismans are how you carry their power with you. That's the brilliance of this ancient art. The ability to take something as fleeting as a planetary transit and crystallize it into form. The Picatrix teaches that when you combine symbols, metals, words, and intention under exact celestial conditions, you're not just crafting an object, you're forging a vessel for a power hidden in plain sight. That object becomes alive in a way most people can't comprehend. It's not superstition, it's technology, encoded in wisdom so old it feels new again. The real secret, is that everything around you is already infused with energy. The talisman just gives it direction. That's what separates mere charm from true manifestation. Let's get specific. Say you're seeking protection, and Saturn is dignified in the sky. This is the moment to work with lead, black onyx, and the sacred square of Saturn. Maybe you want attraction? Then it's Venus in Taurus, rose gold, copper, green stones, and gentle invocations whispered with sugar on the tongue. These aren't toys, they are keys to transformation. Talismans serve as concentrated nodes of intention, amplifying your desire with planetary energy. Think of them like cosmic batteries. But here's the catch. It's not enough to follow a recipe. You need to understand the spirit of the planet, the essence it's lending you. Otherwise, you're just making jewelry. And jewelry doesn't bend reality. The creation of a talisman begins long before the metal touches flame. It starts with introspection, with knowing your true proposito, purpose. You ask yourself, do I want influence, healing, clarity, control? Each answer points to a different planet, and each planet in turn opens a path of power. That's the alchemy of choice. Not just choosing a goal, but choosing how you want to grow. The ritual itself becomes a mirror. If you're restless and chaotic while crafting, don't be surprised if the talisman magnifies that energy. The more aware you are of your own consciousness, the more precise your creation becomes. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. And then there's the act of invocation. As you inscribe the sigils, chant the words, and anoint the object, you're inviting the planetary intelligence to take residence. This isn't a metaphor, it's a living agreement. The talisman becomes a spiritual contract between your intention and the planetary force, And here's where it gets fascinating. Some practitioners report sensations, heat, tingling, subtle resistance during the ritual. It's as if the object pushes back, testing your resolve. Others find their lives shift immediately, almost unnervingly so. That's not coincidence. It's the echo of your decision reverberating in the unseen. That's why mentalidad is everything here. You're not just crafting a thing, you're inviting a presence. And of course, you need to live in alignment with the energy you just bound. Create a talisman of Mars, then live timidly, and the results might backfire. It's not punishment, it's dissonance. Talismans require you to embody the force you've summoned. That's the real work, carrying the poder occulto, hidden power, with honor and awareness. And when you do, that's when people start asking, how do you move through life like that? So certain, so clear. They don't see the lead coin in your pocket or the sigil under your shirt. They only feel the influence. They sense the shift. And if they ask, you can smile and say, it's nothing, or it's everything. Here's a practical exercise. For the brave, pick one planetary energy that resonates with a goal you're currently chasing. Study it, not just astrologically, but mythologically, symbolically, emotionally. What day and hour rule it? What materials reflect it? When you craft your talisman, do it in silence. Observe how your body reacts. Speak your intention aloud, then listen. Sometimes the Sabiduria Antiga, ancient wisdom, speaks in chills. Sometimes in a sudden memory. When the ritual ends, place the talisman somewhere sacred and watch your environment respond. The world listens to those who listen first, but just when you think you've mastered the physical tools, the Picatrix leans in and whispers again. Objects are only the beginning, it says. What if you could speak directly to the forces themselves? Not symbols, not metals, but the actual intelligences behind the planets. Evocation of spirits and celestial intelligences. There comes a moment in every seeker's journey when books, symbols, and even talismans aren't enough. You begin to feel that what you're after isn't just energy, it's presence. You want answers, guidance, connection. And that's where Picatrix lifts the veil a little more. Hidden in its pages are evocation rituals that call forth beings older than memory, celestial intelligences, planetary spirits, even entities that stand at the edge of light and shadow. These aren't fantasies or metaphors, they're forces with identity, with voice, and when approached with respect, they offer wisdom, influence, and at times, uncomfortable truths. This is where magic stops being aesthetic and becomes real. This is where you meet the limit of your comfort and the beginning of your despota awakening. These spirits aren't summoned like pets, they're invited like ancient kings. Each has a domain, a temperament, a way of communicating. A planetary intelligence of Mercury might appear as a shimmering thought form or a sudden flood of language in dreams. A spirit of Saturn may arrive through stillness, pressure, a weight. In the bones, some seekers hear whispers, others receive images, symbols, even physical sensations. It's a deeply personal alchemy. One person's guide may be another's silence. But all share one thing in common: they respond to clarity. You must know why you're calling. You must speak from proposito, not desperation. When you do, the response is unmistakable and sometimes life-altering. The evocation process, according to Picatrix, involves more than just incantations. It's preparation of the self. You fast, you meditate, you cleanse your space, your thoughts, your intention. You might draw specific planetary seals, burn sacred herbs, anoint your skin with oils aligned to the spirit's essence. All of it matters, not because the spirits demand theatrics, but because ritual shapes your inner frequency, and that's what they respond to. Think of it like tuning a radio. If your internal signal is scrambled, their message won't come through. But if you're aligned, open, and focused, you become a channel. The communication might come through synchronicity, emotion, or even subtle auditory shifts. You'll know when you've been heard, and when the spirit arrives, the atmosphere changes. Some describe it as static in the air or a shift in temperature. Others feel watched, not in fear, but in profound awareness. This is where your training, your mentalidad, mindset is tested. Do you panic or do you breathe and listen? These spirits are not here to play games. They reflect your inner state. Call in confusion, meet chaos. Call with reverence, meet clarity. And their messages, rarely direct. They may speak in riddles, symbols, or give you tasks to complete before they reveal more. It's not a performance, it's a relationship. And like all relationships, it takes time, humility, and trust to deepen it. Here's something most grimoires won't tell you. Not all spirits are meant for everyone. Just because a planetary spirit of Mars appears in the text doesn't mean you're ready to deal with raw aggression and power. Some people rush into evocations craving results, only to end up overwhelmed or spiritually destabilized. That's why the Sabiduria Antiga, ancient wisdom, insists on inner readiness. Think of these spirits like mentors from another plane. They will challenge you, stretch you, and sometimes say no. But if you approach with steady heart and open mind, they can change everything. They become allies in your journey of autoconocimiento, self-knowledge, pushing you to evolve past fear. Practical example. Try starting not with a full evocation, but a petition. Choose a planetary spirit whose energy you resonate with, maybe the lunar intelligence if you're seeking emotional clarity. Light a silver candle, write a letter from the heart, and leave it near your bed during the waxing moon. Watch what dreams arise, feel what messages echo in your mind over the next few days. Spirits speak in layers, in symbols, patterns, coincidences. Pay attention, keep a journal. Notice how even the act of reaching out starts to shift your perception. That's when you know something ancient has responded, and your reality will not be the same. But the spirits, wise and powerful as they are, aren't the final stop. On this path, their whispers awaken something deeper in the seeker. A question begins to form. What if the greatest force isn't outside me at all? What if the divine spark, the true source, is hidden within the alchemy of my own body? Sexual magic and inner alchemy. There's a realm of magic that most fear to even whisper about, yet it holds the Chave Mestra, master key, to unimaginable transformation. Picatrix doesn't shy away from it. In fact, it dives headfirst into the mysteries of sexual energy, not as taboo, but as sacred. Here pleasure becomes a portal, and desire is seen not as a distraction, but as fuel. The body is no longer an obstacle to enlightenment. It becomes the laboratory of inner alchemy. This is where the seeker learns that true manifestation isn't just mental, it's physical, energetic, cellular. The power isn't out there, it's flowing through your blood, your breath, your being. But to harness it, you must move past shame and step into full consciousness. Sexual magic, as taught in the Picatrix, is about intentional union. It's not about hedonism, it's about directional energy. The act of sex becomes a ritual, where two bodies merge not only in flesh, but in vibration. Semen, menstrual blood, saliva, these aren't just fluids. In this context, they are alchemical agents, carriers of life force, raw materials for creation and transformation. But let's be clear, this work is not for the impatient. You must know your limits, your intentions, your patterns. Otherwise, you risk turning sacred fire into destructive obsession. The Mestra, master, learns to circulate energy, to build it, to redirect it toward healing, intuition, and creation. This is freedom on a level most never taste. Picture this. Two practitioners enter a ritual space, candles lit, astrological timing precise, sigils drawn in oils upon their skin. They begin the dance, not for pleasure alone, but to fuse their intentions and amplify their purpose. Their breath synchronizes, their energy rises, and instead of releasing it in climax, they transmute it, pulling it up through the spine, holding it in the third eye, igniting insight. This is the essence of inner alchemy. It's not easy. It takes practice, discipline, mentalidad, mindset. But the results? Heightened intuition, deepened connection, dreams that feel like messages, a sense that reality bends more easily to will, and a body that feels like it's been rewired with cosmic voltage. Now, you don't need a partner to do this work. Solo practitioners use breathwork, visualization, and movement to engage the same energy. Think of the ancient Taoist techniques, or even modern Kundalini yoga. Picatrix speaks of this through a different lens, but the core remains. Your body is a vessel of sacred fire. You can learn to store energy instead of wasting it, redirect it to the pineal gland or seat of the soul. Imagine turning sexual frustration into a spell for clarity, or transmuting longing into a creative force that floods your writing, business, or art. That's not fantasy. It's alchemy in action. It's choosing to awaken instead of numb. And few things are more transformational. Of course, such power comes with responsibility. The more energy you raise, the more your shadow will rise too. Old wounds, suppressed desires, traumas stored in the body. They come up, not to punish, but to be integrated. That's the real gold of this path. You don't just manifest more, you become more. You stop seeing your body as sinful, your desire as dirty. Instead, you realize this is your power occulto, hidden power. This is the key the ancients encrypted in symbols and myths. It's not just erotic, it's divine. And when you treat it that way, your entire reality shifts. People feel something different in your presence, even if they don't know why. Want to begin gently? Start with breath. Lie down. Focus on your sacral chakra. Inhale and imagine pulling energy up to your heart. Exhale and feel it settle. Do this daily. You'll notice your dreams sharpen, your creativity unlock. Then try it during arousal, without climax. Just observe. Notice how that energy wants to move. Where it gets stuck, that's your map. From there, layer in intention. Maybe it's healing, maybe it's clarity, and always approach with reverence. Because this is not just about pleasure, it's about integration, about reclaiming your divine fire. And through this fire, you find your true self. But just as the seeker begins to rise in mastery of their own body and spirit, a darker whisper echoes from the pages of Picatrix. Not all rituals were meant to heal. Some were, forged in shadow. Some cross lines most dare not even imagine. Dangerous and forbidden rituals. There are parts of Picatrix that even seasoned magicians hesitate to read aloud. Rituals soaked in blood, inked in the margins of morality, written for those willing to risk everything in pursuit of knowledge or control. These aren't spells you find on Pinterest. These are arcane blueprints that demand a price, sometimes symbolic, sometimes terrifyingly real. The text doesn't just flirt with danger, it seduces it. We're talking about rites involving toxic herbs, animal remains, even human bones. There's a reason this grimoire earned its reputation as one of the darkest books ever penned. But here's the real kicker. It's not just shock value. These rituals are tests. They ask one thing: how far are you willing to go to unlock forbidden power? But don't be mistaken, this isn't horror for horror's sake. In the logic of ancient magic, sacrifice mirrors value. The darker the rite, the more potent the intention had to be. If someone dared to burn owl's blood at midnight or sleep atop graves under eclipses, it wasn't for thrills. It was because they believed in a cosmic economy where every offering had weight. And while modern ethics rightly challenge such practices, we can't ignore what they reveal: the raw human thirst for influence, freedom, and the limitless. These rituals symbolize that urge to break boundaries, to defy nature, to bend reality through will alone. It's terrifying, yes, but also deeply revealing. You might ask, why include these rituals at all? Because the Picatrix isn't here to coddle you. It's not self-help in a velvet cover. It's a mirror of extremes, showing the full spectrum of human potential, from radiant elevation to shadowed descent. The Grimoire trusts the seeker to know their mentalidad, to choose wisely. It doesn't say, do this. It says, this exists. And in that, it offers freedom, the kind that only comes when you've seen the edge and decided with full conscientia whether to cross it. It's like staring down a locked door, key in hand. Do you open it, or do you become your own limit? Let's be clear, no one here is suggesting you light candles over a goat's skull at 3 a.m. That's not the point. The real alchemy lies in asking why you're drawn to such power in the first place. Is it curiosity, desperation, control, shadow work? Isn't just a psychological term. It's a spiritual imperative. These forbidden rituals, when read with discernment, act like a dark mirror. They show you what's lurking under the surface, and the brave seeker uses that mirror not to summon demons, but to face their own. That's a level of autoconhecimiento most people never reach, not because it's inaccessible, but because it's uncomfortable. There are safer ways to approach the essence of these rites. Consider the practice of symbolic sacrifice. Instead of real blood, burn a representation of what you're letting go. A letter, a token, even hair. The act still carries weight. The fire still transforms. Or use shadow journaling. Write your darkest thoughts, your hidden cravings, the truths you're afraid to say out loud, then bury the paper under the moon. Ritual is metaphor made real. It's theater with teeth. And when done consciously, it becomes a form of purification, not perversion. You transmute the darkness, not deny it. That's the path of the maestre, walking into the night not to get lost, but to retrieve the light hidden there. And then there are stories of practitioners who went too far, who invoked spirits they couldn't control, mixed herbs they didn't respect, and suffered for it. Not as punishment, but as feedback. That's what the Picatrix warns with every line of its more dangerous sections. Just because you can, doesn't mean you should. This book never tells you who to be. It just hands you the tools and watches. What you build. Some construct temples, others dig graves. The choice is yours. That's what makes it powerful. That's what makes it forbidden. Because it forces you to decide, and in that decision you meet yourself. But once you've stared into the abyss, a strange clarity can emerge. A quiet whisper follows you after such pages. If even darkness can be wielded, what else have you overlooked? What if, hidden beneath blood-stained altars and coded incantations, there lies a far more subtle, far more dangerous truth, a secret that ties all the powers together, not through death, but through language itself. So now you've seen it. You've walked through the stars, touched living talismans, whispered with spirits, and stared into the abyss. You've been handed keys forged in Sabadoria Antigua, and you've glimpsed the terrifying beauty of your own potential. But let me ask you this, what will you do with it? Will you close this page and go back to scrolling? Or will you pause and decide? Because transformation doesn't come to the curious, it comes to the committed. And everything you've just learned, it's not theory, it's a map. A system that's worked for centuries, hidden behind symbols and fear. But now you know. And the question isn't, is this real? The question is, are you ready to live like it is? So what's your escola? Will you be the one who says this is too much, or the one who embraces the power of your own shadow and light? Are you willing to master your mentalidade, refine your will, and walk the camino few dare to follow? The Picatrix was never just a book, it's a mirror. And if you've come this far, maybe, just maybe, you're already becoming the kind of person it was written for. Let me know in the comments, which part of this ancient grimoire spoke to you the loudest? If this resonated with your soul, even just a whisper, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell, because this is just the beginning. We're going deeper, much deeper.